No matter what path you choose to walk, and whether you believe or not, you can be certain that a fairy is watching.
Hello, fairy finders and fairy seekers. Welcome to FaerieQuest and another episode of Real Fairies in Real Photos. This is Chapel on the Hill. It was a surprise find as we were driving around the small town of Eldora, Iowa, which, by the way, is also where the tail end of the film Twister, if you've ever seen that, the house at the end that is still standing after the tornado, that's in this town. So anyway, this is apparently an outdoor chapel. And I thought, while I'm here, I'll take some photos of fairies, or see if I can take some photos of fairies. But I wanted to give you a little bit of a view of what we saw. And I'm talking my husband, Sammy, and I. When we came in here for the first time, there's a shed just for lawn mowing equipment, I assume. And then as we go further up here, you'll see that there's like a barbecue pit type thing. It's the first thing here on the right hand side. At least that's what I believe it is. And then there's also an area to sit and two pulpits, as well as the cross behind, which you'll see in a moment. Please excuse the wobble. I hurt my ankle and I was having a very hard time walking, but I really wanted to share this with you guys because you don't see something like this in Iowa, at least not very often. So here is the church area with the two pulpits and the cross. And then there's another, it looks like another barbecue area, and then a bathroom. Women's on the right side, men on the left, and a bell tower. Then there is just a pretty area with a bench. And then underneath this shaded area, there's actually a stone table and some stone chairs, which you cannot see because of the shadow. But it's on a dirt road, and who knew? I mean, obviously somebody does, but we didn't know it was here. So at least when you go exploring, you can find some pretty amazing things. And then here in the woods, I'll zoom in on this statue that's in amongst the foliage with Jesus and a couple of lambs. Not sure if it was actually meant to be in amongst all the foliage, but that's where it is. And zooming back out again, this was just an amazing place. So I'll share with you the fairies that I did find here now. Okay, so here we are, and we're at the Chapel on the Hill. Starting with the first photograph here. Actually, not the first. The one thing I do want to say about these locations is a lot of times when I've never been to one and I take photos, I don't get a lot of fairies in them. At least not ones that I would like to share with you because they're hard to see. I can see them in the pictures because they're right in front of me. It's a little different when you're looking at things from video. So I'm going to only show you a few. I took about 48 photos, and I'm going to say probably 22 to 23 of those photos had fairies in them. Pretty good odds, actually, but again, I'm only sharing, I think, 13 of them with you. Not 13 pictures, but 13 fairies from, I think, 10 pictures. So let's get started. This is picture number 3181, and as you can see, I've marked in them the fairies that I found. You can't see them very well because obviously the picture is kind of small. I'm only sharing two of them, and it would be this one and this one with you. The first one here is probably one of the best, I'm going to say. And when I say best, I'm talking we can actually see it's kind of, I'm going to say elfish maybe, but we can see the face right here. We have an ear over here, we have an eye, we have an eye, we have a nose, here's the mouth, but he is wearing a very interesting hat. Can't see the rest of his body, but this is phenomenal. And if I take it down just a little bit, I'm hoping that we can see, at least I can see it even a little more clearly. The little elfish face. So I'm hoping you can see that. The other one is not as impressive in my opinion, and I won't take this one up in size because it really skews it. But this one here, we can see a head and eyes, and it's almost metal-like, as though wearing armor. So moving on to the next one, 3182. Again, I have marked 5 fairies on this one. I will be showing you only 2 of those. One of them is right here, and one of them is over here. So the first one is a woman, and we can see that she's wearing either an eye patch or she has some interesting sunglasses. Her hair is piled on top of her head. We can see the flesh color of her face as she's looking down this direction. And then she's wearing a green cloakish dress, perhaps. It goes down to here. Here's the sleeve. Here's her hand with a glove. Here's the chest portion. And I'll show you her perhaps a little bit more in this one, so maybe you can get a perspective. But right here she is. And then second is a very odd one, and this one is, I'm going to say dragon-like. Okay, so we have the belly right here, the neck, here's the neck, there's a leaf here that's kind of in the way, but here is the head with an eye, and it almost looks like its tongue is hanging out. But there also seems to be somebody riding this dragon, as we can see an eye here and a nose, top of the head. Again, we have a leaf in the way, but it almost looks like fingers here. So again, I'm going to give you the look of this dragon over here. I'm going to call it a dragon. Right here. And ignore this one. Kind of looks like a child putting their fingers at the corner of like that. Not a very good picture, but it's kind of what it looks like. So anyway, here is the dragon. So I'm hoping that you can see that one. I love it when I find different creatures in these pictures. So moving on to 3189. We have 3 in here. I'm only showing you 2 of these. So here we have a cute little smiling guy, and this one's kind of interesting because of where he is. But I'm hoping that you can see, you know, the smile here, the pointy nose, the eye, another eye. He's got pointy ears also. But hopefully you can see him a bit better if I bring up this picture and enlarge him. Okay, so right here is what I just showed you. And you can see that he's kind of behind this stick structure. And I find a lot of stick structures in my photographs of windows and doorways and things like that. That if you look at them, you know, just looking at this I'm trying to point at the screen, sorry. Like this tree here, this down tree. It just looks natural. And for most people, they don't notice. But when I'm pulling up the pictures close to me, these things kind of stand out. And you can tell they are so straight. Somebody has actually put them there and is building something. So here's this little guy. He's a cutie. And then we have, oh, that is him. And then we have this one, which is a little harder to see. He's off in the distance. And let me take this back down again. He is up here, so quite a ways from this one. And he does stand out. You can see, when you look at the picture, you can see the arm right here. You can see part of the body. This would be down his back. He's got a very interesting rounded face, kind of like a caterpillar maybe. But we have hair and we have an eye. Doesn't look like much here, but when you look at them this way, you can tell that they have bodies and heads. Next we have number 3198, and here we have 4 of them. I'm only showing you 2 from this one down here and 1 up here. And again, these are tough because until I've been to a location at least twice, the fairies really aren't very trusting. They just kind of stay hidden behind where you can just see just enough. There are exceptions to this with certain locations. The Mystic Trail in Rhodes, Iowa was one of those. I was seeing or photographing fairies right off the bat, and very, very good photographs at that. So here we have this little guy, and again, he is hiding behind, but we can see a very thick head of hair, an eye. Can't really see the other eye, not much of the face, but we do see the head of hair. And we see the shoulder and a hand, and that hand is holding something. And that something actually does come up in front of this leaf. But look at that hair. That's as thick as it can be. And this one was down here. Very difficult to see them in full when they're down against the bottom of the photograph. But there you have it. The other one is... just a moment. Up in the top and a lot shinier than the one that we just saw, or at least in sun. And this one is going to be difficult to see also. But first of all, it is a girl with red hair. Her head, here's one cheek right here, the line close to her hair, and an eye and an eye and a nose. On top of her head is this leaf, and I do believe she either has a small child or it's a doll, one of the two, but she looks a little old in the face to have a doll, so I'm thinking this might be a child. And if we look at it from here, what we're seeing is right here, again, very, very small when you consider what is around them. It's amazing that they're seen at all. So then next, let's see, that was 3198. So next we have number 3199. And in this one I found only 1. Well, I should say 2, because there are 2 in this right now. And right here is what we're looking at. I will make this a little bit bigger. So we're not very detailed in facial features. They're blending, and that's okay. Blending is natural, normal, but we definitely see the beard. This is not a normal material for what is around this area, nor is this. This is part of the hat. We can see an eye here. We can see an eye here. Part of a nose, and he's an elderly gentleman. We can even see a hand here and part of the body, but this is an elderly gentleman. Over here, we have, I'm assuming, someone who helps take care of this elderly gentleman, but this one is not as clear. He's kind of ducked behind this and looks quite worried about the gentleman being out in the open the way that he is. But we have a hat here. We have kind of pointed ears. Here's a nose. Here's an eye looking at him. So right here we just have the whole face. The half of it is hidden here against this tree. But we do have the head. So if I duck it out for you a little bit, see if you can see the two of them. This one with the hat and the elderly gentleman. And again, they are right here in the picture. I will make this a little bit larger so you can see. Right there they are. And next is number 3202. And I took only one, or found only one, I should say, in this one. It's not a very clear one, but it shows a face here. And this one seems to have very interesting colored eyes. I don't know if the fairies wear makeup or not, but this one has very interesting colored eyes in my opinion. Right here is an eye, right here is an eye. We have just the outline of the nose. Here is the cheek area down. We can't quite see the chin because it's covered over here with the leaf. And then she's wearing something. This here looks like brown hair, but a very interesting eye, as though outlined with eyeliner, or that's just how she is. So if we pull her up closer on this picture, we can see her peeking out at us from under the leaves. And next is photo number 3203. And this one we have 3 of them, but I'm only showing you one. And I found this one quite interesting. You never know what these beings are going to form themselves as. And this one is apparently a tree hugger. So we can see, here's her head. And again, remember, they are blending with what they have around them. If they feel that they might be seen, they are blending. So she's blending to the tree, but we can see her eyes, and we can see her mouth and her chin, her hair. Hair is here too, her neck, and she's reaching her arm around the tree. Here's part of her body. So she's kind of doing a tree hug here to stay hidden. So if we look at her here in the larger picture, you can see, I mean, she's easy to see, at least now that you know that she's there. But she is hugging that tree. And I believe the last photo here that we have, there's 2 pictures. I only found 2 fairies, and those 2 I am going to show you. So the first one is childlike, and so cute, so very cute. So we have poofy little hair, 1 eye, 2 eye, a nose. Here's a hand right here, or arm and hand. Little ear right here. And I'm assuming the rest of her is tucked somewhere under here, or maybe there's a hole there that they live in. I don't know. But if we look at her a little bit more blown up here, we can see she's just tucked in there. And then we have an older woman. Now the perspective of this one, because of how I'm taking the photograph from up above and kind of at a little bit of a tilt, we see her hair. And again, the hair kind of stands out because this is not normal material for leaf and ground and sticks and that kind of thing. So we've got a very gray-haired woman here. We can see her in profile. I'll see if I can't bring her a little bit up. She's going to blur because they're not very big, but we can see her profile. Here is her forehead. See her eyebrow, her nose, her eye right here, comes down to her mouth and her chin. We can even see a hand here with fingers. And then it comes down here, and I do believe, odd as it is, I think this is her foot. Can't be positive, but I think it's her foot because of the way that I am taking the picture. She's large up here and small down here. And of course her foot is going to be smaller, but I'm saying it's like she tapers down because of how I've taken the photograph. So if I show you in the picture here, her larger, actually I'm going to show you the perspective here that I'm talking about. All right, so the way that I am standing taking this picture, I'm up here, okay, because I'm tall. Well, I'm not tall, I'm only 5'2", but I'm still taller than this stump here, okay, and up here a little bit further. So when I take the picture, I'm taking it downward. So everything here is going to be close, much closer than anything here when I blow up the picture to actually look for fairies. So as you can see, her perspective is at that kind of an angle. So the baby, I love that baby, so cute. And then the old woman. Now whether they're related, I have no idea. So that is what I ended up finding for fairies that I thought was worth sharing with you at the chapel on the hill. Eventually we will go back to the chapel on the hill and I will try a second time to see if maybe the fairies are not as shy. But I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you will like and subscribe if you haven't already. And we will see you in the next video. Thanks for stopping by.